Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I want to tell you about what's missing in free online guitar lessons and how you can fix that. I'll give you a formula that's actually 4 letters that's super easy to remember, so you can start to implement these things in your playing right away and see massive progress. It's pretty simple. Let's get started. Welcome to Jazz Guitar Lessons, where we help guitarists learn jazz faster, express themselves more fluently, and have fun along the way. My name is Mark, and if you're looking to learn jazz, form better practice habits, and especially if you enjoy a French accent, make sure to subscribe. So here's a formula I'll use through this episode and make it really quick and dirty. It's C plus O plus A, C-O-A, equals R. And we'll dig into each of these letters because this is the paradigm I've been using to teach myself, but also to teach and coach thousands of students worldwide. And that's the stuff I think that's missing. And I'll keep hitting back on this. Whatever's free online, a YouTube lesson or a course or a book, you may miss out on one or all of these elements. Even if you miss out on one of the elements, you're not going to see explosive results. So here we go. C plus O plus A equals R. C stands for clarity. O stands for objectivity. A stands for accountability. And of course equals R, the results. So I'm going to start with R, the results, to see what's in it for me. Mark, you're listening to this podcast, like, what do we want? Do we learn more altered scales or bebop licks, or do we have to learn 1,000 more songs or pentatonic positions? Yeah, actually, you can do that. But what we're after is what you have to remember. We want to feel like we're playing better. That's really nice, especially revisiting old stuff. I have students in my program that come back after a 3-month or 6-month pause and they play back the old stuff like, oh, it's like Bicycle. It feels easier now. Yes, it does. So we want that feeling of playing better. We want a better technique. We want a better sound. We will want to be in the pocket more if we're playing with a band. We want to have people would want to have praise, bandmates or family or audience going, wow, you sound awesome. What are we in for as well? We want to learn more songs quicker and retain the tunes, hopefully. And ultimately, I'll tell you, for me, the R of the results is about self-expression. So I found that that's going to be very profound, and I'm almost sobbing and crying saying this. Arts has a definite place in our society, in that I think they can bring out in us stuff that wouldn't come out otherwise. Like, I think the same thing with fiction, like movies and literature and poetry and dance and visual arts. I think it brings out in us things that would not have been addressed, or in the words of the famous Dave Turner in Montreal, amazing sax player, one of my teachers back then, said, no, not him said that, but one of my fellow students said, you listen to Dave, when crying is not enough, that's where you go, right? And Dave sounded like a modern version of Cannonball Adderley, I think, if I may say so. So R, the result, that's what we're after. So why are we doing this? Why are we going after this? In my case, I want to express myself better. I want to feel things. I want to have others share that feeling experience. I know it all sounds very woo-woo, but that's typically what's missing from online guitar lessons, going, well, we're going to do all of that, but so what? So what in the end? Well, the so what is that? All right, so let's go back to the formula, C plus O plus A. So clarity is our C, and that's typically what's missing if you're taking any sort of self-directed approach to watching YouTube lessons and trying to get better. It's the clarity. So clarity, the best analogy to it I would have is like a semester in university. A kid goes to electrical engineering and he's got, 120 credits to do at University of Ottawa, which is right here. So first semester is going to be 5 or 6 or 7 classes, and second semester is going to be X amount of classes. So it's pretty clear what the path is. And then after this first year of college, university, there's a second year, maybe a summer internship, I don't know. And you just make sure you don't fail any classes, because then you have to take them again over the summer, whatever. So that clarity is often lacking when we're learning, say in my case, jazz guitar, or when we're trying to learn a craft or a trade, because there's not a methodical conservatory approach to jazz. Although we try, and people have done that, it's not as straightforward as, say, picking up a classical instrument and doing grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then passing your juries and your exams. In jazz, it's a bit different. So clarity will often be lacking. And I'll give you the clarity recipe. I keep referring to this online and off. I call this a 5-step process. It's for free on the Jazz Guitar Fellowship. It's a school group. And this is how I learned standards. And this is how I've been teaching it for over 15 years. So look it up. And that clarity is going, oh, I need to execute this. At first, knowing what it is. Secondly, perhaps executing these steps on a basic 2-5-1 and on a blues progression. And then as the third step, do it again and again and again on 5, 10, 15 songs with the same segments, so I can stop wasting time and just playing the good old things that I know, and actually learn something that's not more complex, but that's more like putting the blinders onto a horse, right? We do that on the song, okay? So the clarity is one of the things that's missing. Clarity on what it is that you're supposed to do at this very point in time. Because everything is up for grabs, and frankly, everything is probably good or good enough for you to practice. However, the big caveat is this a time? Is this now the right time to work on this specific technique or topic or song? And that's the thing I can help with, of course, on the coaching. If you're interested, head over to description, link in description, or jazzguitarlessons.net to join us. So that's the clarity. So C is done. C+O+A equals R. C+O, O is for objectivity. And I'm going to go on my rant again here. Typically, if people feel stuck, they haven't really been objective about what they're playing and where they're at. There's a component of denial. Denial goes both ways. Honestly, I've seen this go both extremes. One way is, I think I'm better than I am, that I know everything and I've already mastered this stuff, while frankly, you haven't at all. And the other extreme is, I don't think I'm that good, and I don't think I'm ready to move on to the next thing, which is perfectionism, if I may call it that way. So both extremes of denial are bad. So the objectivity solves that. And I don't know where an online jazz guitar lesson or a YouTube video or a book could give anyone objectivity about where they're at. Objectivity comes from self-assessment, and it comes from, again, that's my rant, filming yourself. We all have phones in our pockets. I'm recording to equipment right now in my home studio that I would not even have dreamed of having 20 years ago, and it's dirt cheap. And we walk around with $1,000 iPhones in our pockets with the most amazing cameras. We film our kids, we film the sunset or happy moments or whatever, but we sort of forget that when we're playing music, it's a thing we could also film and get feedback on, or at least get a realistic view. People will take before and after pictures of bodybuilding competitions or, weight loss stuff. I'm like, why not just do a before and after of, home remodeling? I remodeled my kitchen before and after. Why not do a before and after of guitar? So that's really objective. It's like, I was here, I'm going there, I am at this moment, I am at that point. And the camera, the filming does not lie. It will be the most awesome. If you've never done this is the most awesome thing you could ever do for yourself. Trust me. So the objectivity is brought about being realistically assessing where we're at. Not, I'm terrible, I'm never going to do this, or I'm awesome, I don't need to learn anything. Neither extremes are good. Somewhere in the middle. And hopefully you can have a coach or a mentor or a private instructor or a colleague or your family bringing up more objectivity. Also for the objectivity, so after you have the clarity, the C in my equation, followed by the O, these two may eradicate a piece of denial if you think you have the right process. Because that's the thing also I've noticed with students, that they will believe they need a certain thing. Like, now I need to do G major scale in 12 positions with all chromatic passing tones, with all possible fingerings before I do X. I'm like, okay, you think you do that? You think you need that? Why? Well, because I want to achieve X, Y, Z. It's like, well, what if I told you that to achieve that, there's multiple routes? Like, perhaps the route you picked is perfect, but just be open that there's more than one ways to go about it, and perhaps that way would be convoluted. Hey everyone, just a quick break here. If you're loving this episode and you want to elevate your own jazz guitar skills, reach out to us. We've guided thousands of guitarists in becoming accomplished jazzers beyond their wildest dreams. So check the link in the description or visit jazzguitarlessons.net to get started today. Okay, now back to the episode. I get confronted daily with students that have certainties about the process. So the process could be like, I really need to sit down and transcribe and learn that line and do it backwards and different keys and do that and do that. I'm like, okay, you need to do that. How's it working out for you? Like, what's the payoff for that? And often when people can, surrender to the process a little bit and let go, then they're easier to be accompanied through clarity and through objectivity. It's just a bit easier. So people, and I'm talking to you, the listener, as much as myself, but people in my audience will have these mental blocks that they set an obstacle that doesn't really exist, and they set themselves up against that thing. So I mentioned G major scale, all positions, all fingerings, all chromatic passing tones with all enclosures because, and then typically there's a really rational explanation, like because Joe Pass did it and that's how he's done it. I would say, well, no, Joe Pass has done a whole bunch of things before doing that, and he's just saying this because he's filmed. And we asked Joe, like, yeah, would you share your secrets? Well, sure, here it is, right? So it does not mean that at this moment in time you are due or ripe for this kind of exercise, right? So this is what I go against. Actually, I'm a therapist of guitar, right? I just dismantle these false beliefs going, well, yes, and have you thought of playing the tune, right? Have you thought of, sticking to a consistent practice routine? So after you get your clarity and you get your objectivity, typically some of these false beliefs will fall apart. And then you're free to do the A in the formula. So again, C+O+A equals R. We talked about results up front. We know we have clarity and objectivity. The A is accountability. So that's one of the biggest things that we don't have. Well, we have the opposite in the online world. Free YouTube lessons, books, courses. We don't have any accountability to running with the ball for long enough. And that's one of the biggest drawbacks. I could say probably 70 to 80% of people that I meet, that I will wind up teaching or coaching, if they could just stick to whatever they're doing now for 45 days in a row or 90 days in a row without changing the plan, and by executing it consistently, they would make progress. Maybe not optimal progress, maybe not as fast as they would like, but that's one of the secret formulas. And accountability can be done with a partner. It could be done with a band or a group, or even like a workshop group. You have maybe the teacher is the bass player in the band. These kinds of, and I think it's in Portland, they have jazz night school, they call it, right? So that could be a thing. So accountability could be also to a teacher or coach. And when you have that, when you have the accountability, which is you said you were supposed to do this, and well, you didn't. That's the opposite, right? That's a YouTube video. You said you were going to do this, but don't do this for too long because I have more videos to show you in the next 10 minutes, right? And I do it when I get in a rabbit hole. Like, it doesn't matter the topic. It could be history, it could be whatever, but YouTube will suck me in. And, see you in 3 days, like type of thing. So accountability is you said you were going to do this, and don't let me down because, in my case, say I'm your coach and you're paying me money, or hey, I'm your friend and we agreed to do this together. So the accountability partner deal at the gym, right? It does work. So just to recap and to summarize and to wrap up this rambling podcast, C+O+A equals R, magic formula, write it down, frame it. When you have your clarity on what you're supposed to work on and you have objectivity on where you're at and where you want to be headed, add a sprinkle of accountability to keep doing the same plan for a while, and you're going to get explosive results. On that note, I'm Mark from Jazz Guitar Lessons. Let me know if you have any questions. Please rate the podcast. It really does help, and I read all comments if you leave anything here, and let me know if there's any other topics you'd like to get covered, because I do, take your suggestions to film and record more content aligned with what you guys want to hear about. On that note, I'll see you soon on the website, jazzguitarlessons.net. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher. Thank you. Take care.